What's up, peeps? Nick Battle, aka NinosCorner, man, and we got some great news for you guys today. Texas just hired their defensive coordinator. His name is Pete Kwiatkowski or Pete Kwiatkowski. But for the sake of this episode, we're gonna call him what the great folks of the state of Washington call him, and that's just Coach K. Okay, so what is so special about this pick, guys? Steve Sarkisian finally gets his defensive coordinator. And we've been waiting now 17 days since he's been hired. Now, if I'd have told you guys last week that Sark was going to get a DC and his first name was going to be Pete, everybody and their mama would have told me that that guy was going to be Pete Golding from Alabama. Too many links, right? Too many links, right? But that wasn't the case. What he got was Coach K coming from Washington. And I think, honestly, it's a better pick. And I'm going to tell you guys why. Well, first off, Coach K ends up coaching with Coach Chris Peterson, who coached at Boise State, put a bunch of guys in the league, leaves Boise State, goes to Washington, puts a bunch of guys, a whole bunch of guys in the league. And the one common link that is going to intrigue Texas fans with that is that he brings Coach K with him when he goes to both stops. So if we look at this, over the period from 2010 until 2019, Coach K has led a defensive unit that has not allowed more than 25 points per game in any of those seasons. Matter of fact, every defensive unit that he's fielded, post this, well, actually pre-COVID seasons, finished with a defensive FEI of around 16 or better. So, guys, that means his teams were consistently in top 15. A lot of times they're in the top 10, but his defenses were great. They were amazing. They stopped the run. They're very aggressive. They intercept the ball a lot. They cause a lot of turnovers. This is a great pickup, a great hire for Coach Sark, a great hire. I actually like this better than the Pete Golding hire, too, because this guy kind of worked his way through the ranks at some big time schools. Now, I'm not saying Boise is a huge school when it comes to football, but Chris Peterson made them a monster of a school that was in the group of 5, right? And so he gets Boise State. They go to a bunch of bowl games, Fiesta Bowls, the whole nine, and they always rise to the occasion. But anytime, once you have those schools that are like in those group of 5, right, you always wonder, is it just that they're good, or is it that they're just good for that one game because they put all their hard work, all their effort into beating this big time opponent because they are the underdog? Not so fast, my friend. When Chris Peterson goes to Washington, he brings Coach K with him, and the defense is magnificent still in the Pac-12. He even got this team to go to the college football playoffs. Now, I think they got crushed by Bama. However, they still made it to the college football playoffs, one of the top 4 teams in the country. And like I said, I think that defense that year finished in the top 5 also. So it's showing that once these guys were able to get the Power 5 talent, they were able to do some amazing things, finishing in the top 4 with a school that is not known for being a football school. So what does this tell me? It tells me that Coach K has continued success at 2 different schools, at 2 different really good football schools, which is completely different than what we've been used to, just over like the past 2 coaching hires. Charlie Strong brings in Vince Bedford, Tom Herman brings in Todd Orlando, and these guys were DCs at schools that weren't like Texas, right? They were DCs at schools where they could, basically be the big dog on the block, kind of beat 100, but know that they were just a little bit better because they had the better quarterback. They had, you had Teddy Bridgewater, you had King over there, you had Ward, you had a bunch of really good players that were at that quarterback position. Tom Herman actually had Ed Oliver at Houston, who was manning that whole defensive front. Strong has some really good players on defense, but it was just at the group of 5 level. Now, can you translate that to the Power 5 level? And obviously, those 2 previous coaches really couldn't. They were able to do it for 1 season because it was new to the Big 12 to see the different defensive schemes that Vance Bedford brought in, just to see the different schemes that, that was brought in from that Houston staff also. You were able to see just those different schemes. Those 2 DCs did really well the first year, but then they tailored off in the second and third years, basically putting up some of the worst defensive numbers that this storied football program has seen. What I like about Coach K is that, yes, it was a new scheme when he came from Boise State to the Pac-12, right? Very new scheme. And he was great in that first year. Well, I wouldn't say great that first year. He actually had his bumps and bruises that first year. However, the defense continuously got better. And he showed that he is a no kidding great Power Five defensive coordinator. Every coach, every DC has like gave him nothing but the most rave reviews when it comes to his coaching style. So I love the hire. Now, the big question here, right, guys, is can his defenses defend the Big 12 offenses? And I say yes. I think that the Pac 12 offenses and the Big 12 offenses are two offenses that kind of mirror each other. And that's evident by like the last 4, maybe 5 years. You had Mike Leach going up to Washington State. And when he goes up to Washington State, Coach K holds Mike Leach's team, I think, over those 5 or 6 years. None of those teams scored more than 20 points over Coach K except one time. So if you like the guy who has spawned some of the greatest offensive minds here in college football in today's world, if you can get that guy who had the air raid system that the Big 12 offenses are so built off of right now to 20 points or less in like 5 out of your 6 contests, you're a guy that knows how to defend the spread. Now, how does he do this, guys? A lot of people think that his scheme is a 2-4-5, right? Which is 2 down linemen, 4 linebackers, 5 DBs. Okay, guys, it's not that he's going to run out 2 big tackles to come stuff the middle and run 4 different linebackers all the time. Yes, 2-4-5 is the quote unquote defensive scheme that Coach K uses. But if you go back and look at some of the film, which I did today, it is so multiple. So it's not just 2 down linemen all the time. Sometimes it's 3, sometimes it's 4. Sometimes, he has like those 4 linebackers, but the 2 outside linebackers, are they really linebackers when they're 270 pounds? No, those are really down linemen that are going to rush with not having their finger in the ground. These are guys that are going to rush while standing up, going to cause some havoc and some pressure. He takes a lot of chances, and I like that. He likes to put a lot of pressure on the quarterback. He teaches his DBs to take some chances. If you guys recall, Marcus Peters came from Washington, takes a lot of chances. Even now in the league, he takes a lot of chances. Buda Baker came from Washington, takes a lot of chances. These guys are always running the ball, getting interceptions, forcing fumbles, always tackling. That's because of the training that these guys have gotten when they played at Washington. There's a great, there's like this really good, quote that I like to, say, guys, right? So it's not that you rise to the occasion, you fall down to the level of your training, guys. And that is from my great brothers from the Marines. I'm an Air Force guy myself, but that is a great quote from those guys, and that is so true. And so when you see these guys excel, in college, and then they go be first and second round picks, and they excel in the league, it's because when they do those great things, it's not because they rose to the occasion. It's because they fell to the level of the training. It's all about the fundamentals, and this guy is a great X and O coach, fundamentally sound coach. I love the hire for Texas. Texas hit a home run with this one, and it's with a guy that nobody thought was going to be the Texas DC. Coach K is going to be a great addition, and what I like about it is not that he's only a great coach, but the staff that Sark put around him, I think it's a really good staff also. You got guys like Bo Davis. He's a great, line coach. He's a great coach for the defensive line. I love him to death. He actually coached at Texas before, coached at Bama, coached at the Lions, and now he's coming back to college and coaching at Texas again. Love that. I love that hire. Love it. Okay, at the secondary positions, you got Blake Gideon. Texas fans know who Blake Gideon is. Blake was if not mistaken, a 4-year starter, and Blake Gideon was a really good, guy that played for our team. It's just he had that one play that we all look back at against the Texas Tech game, where he had that pick that he dropped, but it is what it is. Blake doesn't get the credit that he deserves. I think he's top 4 or top 3 when it comes to picks, for Texas DBs. And his only downfall is that he played next to Earl Thomas his whole career. I mean, it's hard to look good. It's hard to look great next to one of the greatest defensive backs of all time. So but Blake is going to be a great guy. If not mistaken, I think he won the special teams coach of the year, award, because he was the ST coach at Ole Miss. Came from great praise, from Will Muschamp, from South Carolina. And so, Blake is going to be, I think, going to be a really good safeties coach here at Texas. Next person I got was Terry Joseph, so he came from Notre Dame. And I think it's going to be really good for Texas also, So I actually, just made this point in my previous episode where, the folks at Notre Dame were kind of happy to see him go. I don't know if I really agree with that because, hey, it is hard to recruit at Notre Dame. It is hard to get people to come up to Notre Dame. Notre Dame today is not the Notre Dame that we know from the 80s and 90s, where you had guys coming from Texas that wanted to go to Notre Dame. It was all about wearing that gold helmet, right? All about the gold helmet. Yet Tim Brown left Dallas, Texas, didn't go to Texas, didn't go to Texas A&M, didn't go to SMU, which was striving at that time. He went all the way up to Notre Dame. You had a bunch of players that did that back in the day. Notre Dame is not the same anymore. It's not that kind of school where it has that mystique, right? So Terry Joseph, he's from Louisiana. He's going to do a great job in the Southeast when it comes to recruiting. And I think with him having the Texas brand and backing behind him, he's going to be able to do some great things when it comes to recruiting. I think the only coach left on the defense side of the ball is the linebacker coach. But Coach K also coaches the linebackers, but he's more of like an outside linebacker coach. Two totally different, jobs when it comes to the outside linebacker and the inside linebacker. I can see him coaching, the defense as a whole, also coaching the outside linebackers by hiring another inside linebacker coach, and that's going to fill out that staff. All in all, guys, I am super excited with the coaching choices that Coach Sark actually picked. We just talked about the defense side of the ball. I like the offense side of the ball too. He was able to get his personal right-hand man, in AJ Milwee, got him to come back from his OC job that he just signed on the dotted line at Arkansas State. He's going to come here and be the QB coach. He actually kept Andre Coleman as a wide receiver coach. The kids love him here, and we just got one hell of a guy to come in for this 22 class for the wide receiver position. Who else? We got Kyle Flood, who is an amazing offensive line coach and a really good guy when it comes to the X's and O's. We got Jeff Banks at the tight end and the special teams coordinator. And we got Stan Drayton, so Stan Drayton, he's coached the likes of Jordan Howard and Zeke Elliott, and he's gotten some really good players to come here, like Bijan Robinson, and hopefully we can get like an LJ Johnson here. Let's knock on some wood. I'm crossing fingers we're getting LJ Johnson, hopefully so. But anyways, guys, I think Coach Sark has got a really good staff here on campus. I'm very excited to see what's going to happen here, over the next few months, and this is going to give a big uptick when it comes to the recruiting cycle here for 22. And I feel like Texas might be on to something. I don't think they're that far off, guys. Last year we had so many small mistakes that cost us games. If we can just clean up the mistakes, have a more potent offense, which I think Sark is definitely going to bring that because he's going to be the OC. I think we got a shot to do some really good things this year, and I think that this team can turn around very fast. So, in saying all that, man, I am excited about Coach K coming here. It's going to be great for the team. We got to fill out one more position, coach, and if not mistaken, it's probably going to be like an inside linebacker coach. And man, it's going to be great. But I am done for today, guys. Just want to bring you just that good news about the DC, Coach K, and every episode I always end this on this, guys. Do you, man? Don't be afraid to fail. Outgrow your environment. Understand your brilliance, man. Do you? NinosCorner, we're out. Salute. Love you guys.